big focus today is I want to go over um, basically our current world status NA, where we basically fell out, why these teams that are top NA teams right now, that made the major, excluding version 1 obviously, didn't make the semifinals, but lost, to Carbon Corp, lost to Liquid, lost to BDS. So first game we have here is Gen G versus Carbon Corp. More or less, in this idea, what is Gen G done wrong to make it to where they were literally the best team in the world in the first split, and then 2 splits later at Worlds, they're losing to a team that they used to basically shit on if they came against them. You know what I mean? In the first, basically at the level of the first split. So that's more or less what we want to look at. That's what we're going to want to overall get an idea on. And let's just break it down. So coming kickoff, we're going to have a pretty early goal here for Karmine Corp. Tira gets that force back. Appjack tries to take the demo. Nolian, wow, really aggressive play here, but really well done. Honestly, the Gen G pressure here is really good to start. I see Nolly taking his usual aggressive third line, but I usually would like to see him go from like here to here rather than out and then across like this, coming in very angry, like direct into this line. But overall, like we're getting a very aggressive starting play. If Appjack got the demo, this would have been a goal kind of opportunity. But since they overcommitted that, they're a little awkward here. Appjack gets a force, but gets beat up by Vatira. Chronic just isn't jumping for his ball. Wow. I would say, stemming from here, they put Chronic and Appjack in a pretty sketchy, awkward situation. We'll check Chronic's line back here in a second to look at more specifically. But, like, coming into here with Nolly's challenge, if they didn't get the demo on Exotic, I'd argue that Nolly should be fake shadowing here to get this off of Itachi. So that way it could be Nolly and Itachi here rather than Appjack and Itachi, allowing Appjack to isolate, getting that force back to give him someone that is going to have more boost, which is Appjack collecting the side boost basically on his way back. In the same idea, they could have made this work either way. With Chronic going back to third like they did, having Appjack force Itachi awkward, then force the Vatira clear. But Chronic here, what messed up? 12 boost. Oh, man, let's get it from here. So he gets his play, whatever, reset, lineup, good center, 0 boost, 112 pad, jeez. 2... Yeah, because coming into this, really what has to happen here is Chronic needs a line, and I would say generally Diamond in, and then turn a little early like here for this 50 opportunity. He just has to read this corner and guarantee this 50 or beat right here. I think the only way that Chronic could clutch this would be to grab like these 2 or 3 right here, then cut across like this. And that, or right here, then cut across like this. And then find that corner bounce to intercept it on the way in. I think that makes the most sense for what Chronic needs to do here. Chronic could have clutched it with those pads. Nolly here, a little aggressive. He's just beat out. How easy can he read that? Wow, he really thought Exotic was going to hesitate. Yeah, it's just too aggressive. Only if Appjack gets the demo. The reason why I like the last one about earlier with Nolly, so if Nolly did the lateral line he usually does from wide here, sees it, whatever, if Exotic's awkward and whiffs, he still takes the shot, but from here he's able to fake it a lot quicker, and then he's able to stay ahead of it, so Appjack forces back to him, or the same idea, he cuts in, it gets a much better force against Itachi and is 15 Vatira instead, right? And so this overcommit on Nolly, I think, is the real stem of where this starts to domino effect on its way back. Coming into this, yeah, I definitely think there's an overstep by Nolly, and Chronic could have easily collected 1 or 2 more pads and just read that corner bounce, and that also would have been safe. Appjack could have faked this as well to assist Chronic on the second half of this, because like if Appjack also was coming back right here, saw Chronic was awkward, he could do his best to like just jump on the backboard here and then get some sort of 50 like that. Really tough though. This really, once Appjack makes that force, it's already done. I really think it comes down to Nolly or Chronic in this play. All right, second goal. Comes a little bit later after kickoff. Wow. Really not a big fan of Nolan cutting straight across and then jumping up to the backboard from here. I'd much prefer if he wrapped out, giving Exotic this backboard possibility or hit, because he's always intercepting it anyway. And then lining up a really good direct line to intercept along the way, rather than being stuck, having his momentum heading into the backboard directly, so where he's getting stuck here, but it says pushing through this hit along the wall here, right? I'd much prefer that. So not a big fan of Nolly's line here. Very aggressive on the day here with Nolly. And then he misses that read. Yeah, he just has to get that read if he's going to do that. Because if he goes in wider here, let's say, and goes up to this 12 here, dodges from inside the net or goes backward to dodge it, floats down, jumps up on Exotic, like he's dusting Itachi here all day. Like he literally just gets the dust. Even if he goes up the backboard, jumps off from here kind of thing, way easier to read. But ideally dodges, goes to the ground, verticals up, hits around here before Itachi does, and then they already have someone forced in this right corner, so Gen G here is also sloppily not playing their extension. So basically, it'd be Appjack here. Appjack could just drive down casually, knowing he can't beat Exotic. Exotic makes the pass. Then we have the Nolly isolation I'm talking about. Jumps up, intercepts, passes to Appjack. Right behind Itachi here, where Itachi has to make an awkward save. Probably will end up faking it because he's too aggressive, and that could be a free goal counterattack here. But yeah, very big missed defensive play opportunity. They have no way out, even if Nolly does play the line that I showed, because Appjack's already pre-belling back to do nothing. So it ends up being a very awkward overall play from them. Big mistakes here, rotation, I would say. From Nolly especially. Didn't even isolate his third, and then Appjack didn't even isolate his extension. And then this would make his next third easier too, because like if Appjack isolates here, right, takes his time, lets it happen, finds Vatira's shot, lines up, dodges Exotic, whatever, he's right here back post. You know what I mean? All he's doing right now is just getting in his own way to make this harder to cover from a Chronic and so on. It's like he'd already be in line to challenge this, could be forcing Vatira over, back to Nolly again. Just that one simple line comparatively. So this ends up just being a really awkward spot. And then Nolly's just doing nothing this whole play, man. Just so sloppy across the board. Tries to get checked, dude. Whiffs that. Holy shit. Nolly's playing so bad on the day. This is the worst I've ever seen Nolly play. Like, mechanically. Just straight up mechanically. The worst I've ever seen him play. That is something else. Where'd they get these goals back? What'd they do? Flip past one. Bang. Chronic. Whoa. Wow. What a little bit of a trust play there. So this is kind of like what they're aiming for after these aggressive thirds. So they want to set up this short-term failure to 2 to a light pass midfield for your third man to come in for this lateral pass here. And this is a very tight one, very aggressive. I don't like this personally. I feel like it's a little unnecessary. They could easily just keep Chronic here instead. Have Nolly be isolated as third and be waiting out for the possibility to clear. And then Chronic could just shoot this himself. Like, they don't need Chronic this close. This is just a little over the top. But yeah, Chronic's just sitting here. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a shot. Like, that's probably just a goal. Chronic could probably shoot that. Top right, 65, 70 miles an hour. Way out of the range of Vatira. Accelerating from 0 to 52 at max. You know what I mean? There's no way that he ends up closing that gap in time. Chronic could easily just shoot this. I don't think they need to do this for Nolly here. So it's like, this is the play they're going for. And it's like, they get the goal out of it. And it shows, here's the reward for all their risk, right? This is a high risk, high reward. You know what I mean? So they got high risk, high reward. High R, right? Here's the reward. And then here's their risk. Right now, they're giving up 2 risky plays to give up a goal, to give up 2 goals for 1 goal in reward. Their differential right now is 1 to 2. 1 goal for every 2 given up. That is not good enough. They're obviously losing. You know what I mean? With this mindset of Nolly heavily being aggressive on these thirds, being hyper aggressive on these, overstepping basically. Very, very sloppy overall. And so it's like their risk is not, their reward is not meeting their risk status to show that it's equal opportunity. A lot of times, like, I'll joke about FaZe or Carbon Corp as well, being a team that plays very aggressive. And then even Space Station's a very aggressive team, rotationally speaking. But more times than not, they still pick a defensive choice car-wise, not positionally, but car-wise to make sure that they're at least pulling a 1-to-1 ratio, right? They give up a goal to get a goal, right? Until they finally get a goal first and then they win. Or maybe they just dominate because they're playing insane that day and is what it is. But this level of risk is just so high. It's not playing out to much of a difference, as if they just had Chronic slow down here. It's like they gained this exact same play opportunity basically. They just have Chronic slow down instead of pushing up. And then now they start their shot from here, and that just gives them the same power shot that Nolly got at around the same time, if not a little bit earlier, with plenty of power to put it in that right corner. We're basically sniping around them. Very capable. It just feels like it's unnecessary risk here. They're not gaining an extra play that they didn't have before. They could have easily have had this play if Chronic just slowed down and wasn't so aggressive to start. But yeah, either way, they get their goal. So whatever, they got the reward for their risk. Let's see where the second goal comes in. Maybe it's similar. Boom. Appjack has to get the cut. Intercepts one. A little bit of aggressive cut of Chronic though, but this is exactly like why it's so unnecessary. Let's say they never. Let's say this entire section here. Let's say this entire section. They take away their entire risk for reward, ratio, right? And they get no goals, but they give up no goals, right? So the game's 0-0 right now. This play that happens here isn't from them overstepping their third super aggressive to get that extra goal. This is like good demo chase with good solo play or good ground control, right? So basically, Chronic here's our extension. Nolly's making the cut. Appjack's isolating there. right? So Appjack's going for basically an overcenter swap, where our 2 steps out to 3 to step back into our opportunity, and then not only here is buying time with this 1-3 swap opportunity cutting in from 2 to 1, coming back to 3 kind of deal. I don't really know. Maybe it's a 3 to 1 to 3. It's tough to say because it's like their positioning wasn't ideal, but Appjack was our extension, so either way, doesn't really matter. They outside Appjack here. Nolly's our 1, right? Forcing this ball over. Appjack gets his cut in to get possession. Nolly falls as extension, right? Chronic comes back out to 3rd. And he is a little aggressive on his positioning, but if we ignore Chronic's positioning, just put him isolated, he does nothing anyway. So, like, Chronic could literally, at this moment, just isolate the 3rd, play an isolated 3rd mentality, let Appjack collect his interception, and Nolly chases the demo like usual. Just change Chronic from this back to here, right? The defensive mindset that generally I always push is like a safe choice, right? Chronic didn't do anything here. He got aggressive and then turned out like nothing happened. Appjack wins the 50 without Chronic or not. And then Nolly goes to the demo play, making Exotic awkward, and then Appjack just shoots it around him. They didn't need the 3rd. If they played a safe 3rd mindset this entire time and didn't risk these 2 goals for this 1 goal, this game would be 1-0. They'd be 1-0 right now. That's crazy to think about. And the funniest thing about this is that's pretty much what their mindset was in the first split. They were a hyper safe team. They never really pushed trust plays. They didn't have an ego like that. They played a really safe, really solid rotation. It was really well done. And that's the same thing with Vitality. Vitality doesn't play these insanely risky plays. They force back to solo plays. They keep simple demo pressure, and they clean up what's the leftovers. They're not sitting here trying to make these crazy passes to 3rd. You know what I mean? And it's like, if they played the same mindset all the way through, it'd be 0-1 right now. All right, what's that final goal? They mess up at the end, probably an overstep 3rd like we saw in the first 2. Lead to something. Nolly comes in. All right. Oh, gets dumped, actually. Chronic hyper-cutting this, and it just gets played around. Yeah, really unfortunate there. Nolly actually is not doing too bad here. I would like a little bit more space on him. Basically, a little more time to go full back post around here right now. And then with Vatir's overall 50 in chance, then he can stop. And this allows him a much easier line to engage or just wait for Appjack 50. Comes in, and then intercepts, right? I think the spacing on Nolly here, allowing himself to basically chill, stop where he needs to, and then rebuild his momentum back into this play as it comes into him so he can jump and intercept this, is way more effective than him pushing up a little more aggressively than turning around and then getting it. Because I'm pretty sure he basically just does a whole U-turn here. Yeah, look at this. So he gets hyper-aggressive as there, pushes in for a pass that's not his because the ball's getting shoved into the ball anyway, and then he has to turn around. This turnaround time is getting him dusted by Vatira and change. That's the real difference, to be honest. Or Exotic. He's getting dusted by, or dunked by Exotic, where he should be dusted.